That's me. Back here with Apollo, just a state's attorney. Where I hope we're going to be backing into the shoes of Apollo very, very soon and getting started with this last trial very, very, very soon. So exciting. No preamble, damn it. I'm going right in. Welcome to court. 7 years, all leading to one verdict. A verdict which you must decide. Is the defendant Veramisham innocent or guilty? I thought you said it was just a trial and there was nothing to worry about. The courtroom doors are opening. The trial awaits. Are you ready to begin? No. Yes. Very ready. Courtroom number 3. Preparations complete. Wait. Why is this in a computer? Does that mean we can go? Because I'm clicking and nothing's happening. Oh, I'm supposed to click on it. Got it. Episode 4. Turnabout Succession. Something inside me. Rising. Surfacing. Don't know who's talking here. Yes. I was in all these places. Enough with the suspense. Something important. Lost long ago. It's close now. So close. October 9th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 3. Part of me wonders if maybe the reason the music starts and then cuts off like that occasionally, it's just because of the emulator, it's playing it a bit slower than it should, so the music gets to play it a little longer than it should. Or maybe that's just how the game is designed. Who knows? It just sounded a little unnatural. Push! Court is now in session for the trial of Veramisham. The defense is ready, Your Honor. It's been a little while since I did that voice. Prosecution's ready to rock. Prosecutor Gavin, how is the defendant Veramisham's condition? Acute to troponin poisoning. According to her physician, she could die at any time. Oh, comforting. Thus, her absence from the courtroom today. What? They can't put her on trial without her being here. It is unusual. They should wait for her to get better and do it then. It's so bureaucratic of them. That's being a little harsh. They can't delay the trial any longer, or they risk having no one left to try. A trial without a verdict can only cause grief. The records of this case and experience tell us this. Apologies to the but the show must go on. Right. If Farah dies, the trial will be cancelled. I'm not going to let that happen. Mr. Wright told me everything that's been going on behind the curtain all these years. I'm going to get Farah her innocent verdict while there's still time. Okay, I guess he just told Apollo, but I thought for a minute that maybe he was telling the jury, because this is a test of the jury system and everything, in that thing, but I guess he was talking about Apollo, but he just was doing it weirdly in the third person to Apollo. Anyways, very well. Your opening statement, Prosecutor Gavin. Also, just a brief thing, because I was getting anxious about whether or not I'd be able to use the emulator for the 3D game. It's just the one game that's 3D, right? Dual Destinies is still 2D, I think. Oh, wait, actually, I'm not sure. And then Spirit of Justice is 3D. We'll figure it out anyways. Because the 3D scenes tend to lag in this emulator, I was wondering if I was worrying a little that maybe those games would run poorly all the way around, whereas here it only comes sometimes in the cutscenes and it's not so invasive. But I guess we'll find out when we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It may be that when it starts the courtroom section, it loads all the assets in, and then that's when it'll lag a bit. But then for the rest of the trial, it'll be totally fine. I guess we'll see, but that's after we beat this game, which has obviously not happened yet. Very well. Your opening statement, Prosecutor Gavin. The prosecution's case is unchanged by recent events. Why did Veramisham succumb to poison? Because she couldn't live with the guilt of what she'd done. Objection! That's a bit ridiculous. But Vera was poisoned with a troponin, the exact same poison that took her father's life. Bush! And if you thought she really couldn't live with the guilt of what she'd done, she'd have taken way more than under the lethal dosage, which is a very, very small amount. What better confession could you ask for? Being the killer, she would have had access to the poison. Significant, since it's rather hard to come by. That is true. In other words, I see no need for further discussion. We could have had our verdict yesterday. Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no objections, I see no reason to postpone a verdict. When have I not? Objection! Oh. Bang! What we need to worry about isn't the verdict, but the trial itself. The defense holds that Veramisham is the victim, not the killer. If that's so, then you have to prove something. She was in court giving her testimony before us, when she suddenly passed out. How do you propose her killer poisoned her? Oh, and incidentally, it would be nice if you told us who her mystery killer was. Well, obviously we don't know that yet. If I knew that, I would have said it already. The prosecution's objection is sustained. I ask the defense to prove its claims to the court. Tell us how Veramisham was poisoned. We've got two things to prove here. Who did it and how? Which to hit first? I think how is probably the easier thing. It's gotta be the nail polish, right? It's one of the only things that is so frequently around her. How did the killer poison Vermission? I will focus first on the method used. Any comments before we begin, Prosecutor Gavin? And if it is what I'm thinking of, the nail polish, then that leaves more or less only one person. The person who gave it to her. Not a bottle or container of the poison was found on the defendant's body. I see. So the vector of poisoning is unknown. Is the defense prepared to prove how the poison reached Vermission? Yes, Your Honor. Oh, wait a minute. You know what I just considered? I don't actually have... Oh, wait, no. Okay, I have some of the stuff. Right, okay. I've got some of the stuff that Phoenix used. Okay, so the commemorative stamp. So it wouldn't be the stamp. Letter from Mission. Letter posted by Drew Mission just before dying. What was this again? Oh, I'm not allowed to read it. There's an address on here, and a name I've never heard of. At least I think so. It's too blurry to read. Interesting. That's it, Chrysler. 424 Apple Street, Blazing Springs, California. I never thought about it. Paul probably has different things to say about some of these. Although some of these will just be a thing where you look at it like this. The only thing I can think would be the nail polish anyways. Very well. What method was used to poison Vermission? Nail polish, take that! What's this? My, what a beautiful bottle. I'd like to give whoever designed that a hand. Is that nail polish? It's colorless. Something the matter? No, nothing at all. So the killer put poison in this bottle and made her drink it? As Prosecutor Gavin has told us, this is nail polish. Nail polish? It's like paint for nails? Know any women with red nails? Ah, my wife has red nails. I see, so she's been painting them all this time. Let's recall yesterday's trial. Remember when Vera was testifying to the court? She was nibbling on her hands, yes. Court is now back in session. Vera seems pretty tense. She's practically chewing her fingernails clean off. I had some idea that meant something when he brought that up. Whenever Vera became nervous, she had a habit of biting her nails. Her nails. Ah! Prosecutor Gavin? When the prosecution had Vera examined, did they check her nails? Bailiff! Have them check the defendant's nails at once. Mr. Justice. Yes? Do you know who did this? Do you know who put poison in that nail polish? Yes. That bottle belongs to Vermission. Why do you ask? Know someone else who might have a bottle like this? My throat. Know someone else who might have a bottle like this? No. Just checking. Yeah, very convincing. Mr. Justice, you are about to accuse someone of poisoning that bottle of nail polish. Please dispense with the chatter. You realize the weight of this accusation? Here, let me show you. Double the health lost. Understood, Your Honor. No problem. I know what I'm doing this time. Then let us ask. Who poisoned Vermission via her nail polish? Could only have been whoever owned that prior, or at least I would expect it would be that. Makes sense to me. Currently incarcerated at the Central Prison for the murder of Shady Smith. Take that! What's this? Kristoph Gavin. Objection! What's your game? My bro. There's no way he could do a thing like that. You should know that better than anyone else, considering he used to be my boss. Indeed. He is behind bars. I know. However, that doesn't mean it was impossible to do what he did. What? Ask yourselves when he put the poison in the bottle. It could have been yesterday. It could have been a month ago. Maybe it was a year ago. Or perhaps it was 7 years ago. But Kristoph Gavin had no motive for killing this poor girl. It's simply inconceivable. Prosecutor Gavin doesn't seem to think so. That face tells me one thing. Kristoph Gavin's own younger brother doesn't find it inconceivable at all. Well, Prosecutor Gavin, if you feel there is a clear and pressing need, then we may have to summon Kristoph Gavin from jail as a special witness. Finally, some testimony. I was getting a little worried that maybe this whole trial sequence would just be little yes or no questions. Fine. I've known for some time that an impenetrable darkness lurked at the bottom of this. A darkness that has swallowed even myself. Okay. The defense's wish is granted. Let prisoner Kristoph Gavin take the stand. If you insist. Wait, no, it was me who insisted. If I insist, which I do. Bailiff, begin proceedings to call a special witness. The witness is Kristoph Gavin, currently residing in solitary cell 13 at Central Prison. Central Prison, what a very nice and nondescript name. Hi, boss! How's it going? Sorry, this is awkward. Your Honor, how nice to see you again. It's been quite a while, hasn't it? A few months. To what do I owe the pleasure of your company? It's not every day I'm summoned from my solitary cell. In fact, it's never. I think you already know, Mr. Kristoph Gavin. Mr. Justice. I hear you've been doing quite well for yourself. Why do I feel like somehow he's still my boss? Stiff upper lip, Apollo. You can do it! Does this bottle look familiar? Ariadone nail polish? Why yes, I use that myself. As did the late defendant, I hear. Hey, well, she's not dead yet. She's not dead yet? And? Was there something concerning this bottle you wish to ask me about? I admit, I respect her for her taste in nail polish. Her taste, indeed. This nail polish was how Vermisham was poisoned. Atroquinine, was it? You're well informed about the case, Mr. Gavin? No, I poisoned it. Even in solitary, much comes to my desk, and I have nothing to do but read. Well, Klavier? Maybe you can explain this? You're being accused again. By him. Again. And? You agree with his accusation, do you? I don't think he wants to, but I think he might. Let's hold a proper trial, shall we? Kristoph Gavin, your testimony, please. I'd be delighted. The charges against you are quite severe, Mr. Gavin. You are suspected of the poisoning of the defendant, Vermisham. Please testify on this matter to the court. I wonder if Klavier would be allowed to prosecute this case in real life as soon as Kristoph was introduced, because you would think that would constitute a conflict of interest, but maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. Poisoning Vera. Ooh, and we're already in up-tempo, my gosh. Owning the same nail polish does not a murderer make. I have been in solitary confinement for half a year. How could I poison her? Her father died of the same poison, the meaning of which should be clear. The prosecution's case holds. She poisoned her father, then attempted to poison herself. Surely you aren't going to suggest I was responsible for poisoning her father, too? I wasn't. Now I am. Well, I'm afraid the defense's claim is sounding rather unlikely. Naturally. For one, I don't even know the missions. Isn't that so, Mr. Justice? Very well. Mr. Justice, begin your cross-examination. I'm accusing Kristoph Gavin, my ex-boss. But I know he poisoned the missions. The question is, when could he have done it? Not to mention, why? Well, if one happened from the stamp and one happened from the nail polish, those were both artifacts of 7 years ago, so this poison could have been way distant in the past. And I've already got a bracelet here, which, so far hasn't lied, so I don't feel like the need to press on much of this, but I will just hear what Apollo says after this is done. Also, I should be checking, trying to figure out which one seems the least likely. There's probably a lie in. Owning the same nail polish does not a murderer make. I've been in solitary confinement for half a year. How could I poison her? Her father died. Her father died of the same poison, the meaning of which should be clear. The prosecution's case holds. She poisoned her father, then attempted to poison herself. Surely you aren't going to suggest I was responsible for poisoning her father, too. Okay, I'm questioning my ex-boss. His testimony seems watertight, but he's lying. I'm sure I'll be able to see something, as long as I focus. Okay, I mean, this one is so self-incriminating, should it be wrong, that I feel like we have to at least try it first. Oh, don't look at me like that. God, surely you aren't going to suggest I was responsible for poisoning her father, too. Okay, I didn't see anything funky with that, and I can't really look up into his hair, so let me look down at... Wait, hang on, here again. How far down can I look? Oh, what's with his hand? Are those, like, is that, like, stitches? Or is it, like... What's up with his hand? Or is it just, like, weird ways of drawing finger bones? They could almost be, like, stitches or, like, a tally. Well, a tally wouldn't have 5 vertical lines, but... Oh, man! Oh! Okay, no, I see what it's about. It's about his hand pulsing when this thing is said. Her father, too. Gotcha! I was gonna look at his shoulders next, but fortunately it was on his hand the whole time. It was you who killed Drew Misham. A bluff worthy of your new mentor, Mr. Wright. Oh, really? But you see, I saw it. Right when you said her father, too. Your hand tensed unnaturally, and a little devil appeared to give me the news. And? Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that you saw me being tense. What does that mean? Are all tense witnesses guilty? And tell me, was Drew Misham fond of nail polish, too? Sorry, but there's more than one way to poison a man. You don't need nail polish to get to someone's mouth. Then I must be very talented indeed. You see, Drew Misham was killed on October 6th. while I was already in my solitary confinement cell at Central Prison. Alright, and Vermission was poisoned today while you were already in your solitary confinement cell. It's the same both ways. If that's not an alibi, I don't know what is. But you found a way all the same. And I found it too. This is how you poison Mr. Misham. Well, we already know that's the stamp, right? Take that! I'm sure this commemorative stamp requires no introduction. The night Mr. Misham died, he was seen writing a letter. A troconine was found on this stamp, Mr. Gavin. So, am I to understand that this stamp was the murder weapon? Yes, you are. Oh, and yes, this stamp was found in your prison cell! That would be pretty early to break him. That's all it is so far. But we've definitely paved away a layer of this, so he's gonna have to make up some other nonsense if he is the killer and it wasn't someone else. I mean, it certainly looks suspiciously like him, but somehow we don't have a motive for him yet, and it just seems all unlikely. But either way, he's gonna have to make up something else to get out of this, and that'll give us some more information to work with. That is all, Your Honor. Order! 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 I'm not convinced it was him yet, or that he was entirely, like some kind of malicious figure in this. I feel like he might have been a victim somehow. I don't know how or why. I feel this nagging urge to believe in him somewhat. Poison on the back of that stamp! After Drew Mission was killed, someone paid a visit to this witness's cell. Phoenix Wright. Daddy? That's when he found this stamp. He made Drew Mission write you a letter. That's how you killed him. What? My. You've upset my poor brother to the point of uselessness. Allow me to clarify this matter, Justice. All you need to do is recall witness Spark Brushell's testimony. Well, that's the thing, see? After he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something. His desk drawer? Yes, a stamp. A so-called postage stamp, end quote. He was looking for a stamp. Ergo, he had no intention of using this stamp. Yeah, but he didn't find one. What are you getting at? What I'm arriving at is that this commemorative stamp was in a frame. It was mere coincidence that he used it that night. That would seem to be the case. Or perhaps you mean to suggest that I can somehow manipulate coincidence? What? You asked him to write you a letter and he didn't have any other stamps and he... Oh, I suppose you're saying coincidence that he didn't have any other stamps, and that you couldn't have known that, so, okay, I see what you're saying, I guess. He does have a point. How would this witness know if the victim was going to use that stamp? Without that, he couldn't have planned the murder. What? Really, Klavier? You should be seeing through these weak-spined bluffs by now. He's right, though. How could anyone have known Mr. Mission would use that stamp that night? Least of all Kristoph Gavin locked away in his cell. The only thing I could think was that this one says to send with the designated stamp, the enclosed stamp. So if there's some way that this envelope got mixed up with the other one, or he suddenly decided to fulfill his end of the bargain for this one, I don't really know. Least of all Kristoph Gavin locked away in his cell. Well, it seems that the defense has run out of things to say. You assume he had something to say in the first place. I believe the defense's bluff has been called. The defense's bluff? I'm not sure I agree with you there, Kristoph. Klavier. Honestly, I wanted to believe you, but the defense wasn't trying to get away with a bluff. You were, Kristoph. What are you saying? Prosecutor Gavin. Hair forehead. What was your accusation again? Huh? Oh, it was that this poison stamp killed Drew Misham, yeah? To which my brother responded thusly. There was no way to know when Misham would use the stamp. Yes, that's right, which is why it couldn't have been planned. But you're gonna say that he was gonna use it anyway at some point? Tell me, it needs to be planned. Why? Why couldn't it have been a coincidence? The defense's case is simply that Drew Misham died by that stamp. That's all. Coincidence. Kristoph, you tried to slip out from under his accusation by changing the subject. If that's not bluffing, what is it? What are you up to, Klavier? I can ask you the same question, Kristoph. I silenced the defense with the fewest words possible. It's called efficiency. But Mr. Gavin, that's impermissible testimony. Very well. I shall take his claim head-on, then. Justice? What? You accuse me of Drew Misham's murder, yes? Then allow me to ask you, what possible reason could I have to kill a painter? Apollo? Motive! He's talking about a motive! Indeed. It's hard to see how an attorney could come to want to kill a painter. Now here's something. Why didn't he bring up the motive from the very beginning? Unless he was afraid it was a battle he might lose. Yeah, this is a last resort. So, what does it mean? It means there might be a weak spot. Maybe I have some evidence to prove a motive. A motive for murder. This is a vital, if not the most vital element in this case. Please consider this when you're making your statement. I'd say it's about this vital. Hey, why do you get to say that? That's pretty vital. Well, Mr. Justice, I'm going through with this no matter what. Understood, Your Honor. I'd like to present evidence. Then let's see what you have for us. What reason did Kristoph have for wanting to murder Drew Misham? Well, I guess the only thing I could think would be that he would have been the client. Which one proves that he's the client? I guess it would just have to be this notebook page, because that was the thing that was forged. We didn't actually get to see what was in this letter, did we? Maybe it did at some point, but I don't think we do now. Alright. This is maybe a bit of a gamble, but I don't want to overthink this. I'm pretty sure that what they're getting at here is that he was the client of Drew Misham, which is why he would want his silence. He's the only one who would have a relation to Drew Misham in that case, and the only way to prove that he was the client would be to use the thing that he forged. So maybe we show this and get some kind of reaction out of him. Take that! Kristoph Gavin's motive becomes clear when we consider why the stamp came to Drew Misham's studio in the first place. And why was that? Forgery, Your Honor. Go back 7 years. Drew Misham accepts his first job creating forged evidence. I've seen that before. Page from a diary, wasn't it? Magnifique Gramarie's diary. When that attorney Phoenix Wright lost his badge, yes. This was the evidence he presented. To his loss. This evidence is a fake, yes. But did Mr. Wright request the forgery be made? That was never proven. The defense attorney on that case was Phoenix Wright. Who other than him, drunk with the prospect of victory, could have done it? And why would they? Just out of curiosity. Do you remember this letter? This is the first page, and this is the second. Those were presented in court yesterday. This letter was sent to Drew Misham by the client who requested that forgery. The enclosed stamp was none other than the poisoned commemorative stamp. Drew Misham drew his last breath just the other day. However, the motive for his murder was already 7 years old. 7 years old? The client who requested this forgery was very cautious. He tried to erase anything and anyone with connections to the forgery, to keep them from talking. But he made a mistake. In who the forger was? The stamp was a picture of my favorite magicians, so I kept it. Oh, right, no. Made a mistake by making something that you would keep. Father took me when I was very young. It was a great magic show. I loved it so much. The killer's time bomb was delayed. The poison stamp was sealed within a glass frame, where it sat for 7 whole years. What do we think about that? Her forehead. Do you understand what you're telling us? No. The one who schemed up the forged diary page was the one who poisoned the stamp. And it was Phoenix Wright who presented the forged evidence 7 years ago. Adding the two statements together, the one who schemed to kill Drew Misham was none other than Phoenix Wright. Alright, well, objection! Obviously I'm gonna fight against that one. Sorry, but that's not how this is gonna go down. Oh? Then how will it go down? I checked through the records on that case when I found this. 7 years ago, just before the trial began.
Oh boy! Here!
What's this?
I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair.
Do we have any evidence that proves that that was when he got it?
And one more thing.
I'm sorry to have sprung this on you so suddenly.
I received the files from your previous attorney only yesterday. Okay, that's a little more solid.
I understand I am asking the impossible of you. Ah, mouse.
Yes, well, you haven't really told me what happened yet. All we did was play cards.
And that was enough.
Phoenix Wright was put on the case yet the day before the trial started. He didn't have time to request a forgery. The day before? Now here's a question. Just who was Shady Anningmar's previous defense attorney?
Oh.
No. This cannot be... But it is all true. There was another man, a defense attorney, with a badge on his collar. It was you!
Kristoph Gavin!
Dang! Well, that would actually tie up a lot of loose ends.
Order! 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 What is the meaning of this, witness? Defendant, former lawyer. Let me begin by denying this. Objection! No! That was a good case! Don't take it away! It's easy enough to look up, Mr. Gavin, and impossible to prove if you can't. Attorneys are registered with the court the day before the trial begins. In other words, no record remains in the court. How exactly did you intend to prove Phoenix Wright's claim?
That would be difficult. I'm afraid this line of inquiry won't yield.
Objection!
Oh, it's Klavier. I figured there would be an objection, I just don't know from who.
Herr Forehead, are you sure you don't have evidence?
I didn't say that yet. They didn't give me a chance to respond.
Evidence that Phoenix only got on the case the day before. Could it have anything to do with this?
No, he got this at the Borscht Bull Club, which is a fair bit before Misham's death. No, wait. Sorry. That was 7 years after.
Something that proves I don't know. What did he get? He didn't really get anything else at the time. In that case, did he? Except from the notebook page? I'm not sure, actually.
What's wrong with Prosecutor Gavin? He looks clammy.
Evidence. Evidence that shows that this man, Kristoph Gavin, requested that forgery 7 years ago. Klavier, just prove it. Clear up these doubts now, or I swear I'm off this case.
He must have thought of some evidence, Apollo.
Prosecutor Gavin looks like he's in physical pain. That darkness. I have to pull that darkness out of him, and proof is the only way I can. What proves Kristoph Gavin's link to Drew Misham?
Well, Mr. Justice, you claim Kristoph Gavin requested a forgery of Drew Misham 7 years ago. Prove it!
It can be proven.
I'm glad they didn't make me say yes or no, because I would have definitely been like, no, and panicked.
Simply ridiculous. Why even discuss it? This evidence does not...
Objection! It was him again.
Are you telling the truth, Apollo Justice?
Hey, that's the first time he didn't say hair forehead, for a while anyways.
I am. Then I say we give him the benefit of the doubt.
Very well. But if you're wrong about this, be prepared for a penalty. At least it's not full penalty. That was Kristoph.
Your Honor, you do the defense an injustice. Mr. Justice is clearly passionate about his claim.
Don't make it all the way.
Should the penalty not match his passion?
I can't believe you would do this to me, my ex-boss. I haven't given a penalty like that in a long time, like since the second game or something. Well, Mr. Justice?
Fine, Your Honor. All I have to prove is any kind of link. Something that ties Kristoph Gavin to Drew Misham. And I have something that clearly does the job.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Present your evidence. Show us the link between our witness and Drew Misham.
Like, without fail, that's hard to prove. I suppose... because... Vera got this from him, but this isn't Vera's. The one, the piece I have evidence of is the one from Kristoph's cell. It's not from Vera's, so I don't know that that's actually exactly proof.
I don't think they drink the same kind of coffee. I think I'd have heard about the Blue Mountain coffee if it was there somewhere. Man, I'm really glad you can't, like, skip evidence. And then there was, like, a coffee mug in the back of his thing that was, like, full of Blue Mountain or whatever. Anyways,
link between Kristoph and Drew Misham.
I mean, this is a letter that was sent to Klavier from Drew, so this is proof that they were connected.
Take that!
This evidence proves there's a link.
Really?
You don't object that I found this in your cell? That scrap of paper? I'm afraid I can't let you submit that. You're not the judge. Is there some problem? There is. How could you possibly have that? You couldn't.
Hey, that's Daddy's handwriting.
What?
Mr. Wright's handwriting? What is the meaning of this?
I see now. Yes, of course. He forged it? What?
What do you mean, of course?
I just remembered I had a visitor yesterday. Phoenix Wright came to my cell. Except I wasn't there. Phoenix Wright. When I returned, I saw he had something of mine in his possession. Of course, I had no intention of letting him get away with reading my private mail.
Mail? You mean this letter was in your cell?
No. However, it appears Mr. Wright has yet to be cured of his bad forging habit.
Well, if it's a forgery, it's not a very good one. The handwriting's terrible.
This is Mr. Wright's reproduction of what was written in the real letter. Okay, I didn't know that, but Apollo did, thankfully. Because otherwise we would have gotten Apollo's badge revoked too. Woo! Reproduction. When Mr. Wright visited Kristoph Gavin's cell, he brought with him a small video camera. What? Oh, it was in the badge on his thing? Oh, that's why it did the zoom in on it. Okay, I was confused. He recorded his entire conversation with you, Mr. Gavin, and the contents of your personal mail. Regardless, he's doing the twitching thing again. That's not a good sign. This mockery of a piece of evidence will never be accepted by the court. Evidence based on a video a man with no authority whatsoever claims he took. A man who happens to be an ex-attorney suspected of forgery. Prosecutor Gavin? Prosecutor Gavin? As embarrassing as this is for me to say, I'm afraid my brother is incapable of making rational judgments at the moment. Your Honor, your decision, please. The defense's claim isn't denied. What? Only actual evidence is permitted in a court of law. Please remove the defense's evidence from the record. Better luck next time, Justice. Oh dear, that is not how I was hoping that would go. But we did make a little progress there. Okay, if we ruled that out, then maybe Phoenix has to come and bust us out or something. Bail us out. Bust us out. Well, we've certainly taken a detour from our cross-examination, but the defense appears to be lacking proof. I'm forced to end the cross-examination of Kristoph... Oh, sorry. I'm forced to end the cross-examination of Kristoph Gavin at this point. Apollo, do something!
I'm thinking, but without evidence, I don't have anything I can use on him.
Just tell the jury to believe with their hearts.
Very well. This ends the special witness's cross-examination.
Klavier's gonna bail us. Thank you. Thank you, Klavier. The show's over, yet the crowd screams for more. Only now do I understand why.
Prosecutor Gavin.
Frankly, I'm relieved. This has been bothering me for 7 whole years, and I'm tired of the whole youthful angst scene. Now's our chance. Let's clean out the family closet, eh, Kristoph? Klavier, you're spinning out of control. Calm yourself before you say something you'll regret. Spinning out of whose control? Mine or yours? Take a moment to consider everything you've built. Your reputation as a prosecutor, your fame with the masses. You could lose it all, Klavier. Apollo, did you see that? He's trying to press Prosecutor Gavin.
Prosecutor Gavin, try to remember, what's really important to you?
You amuse me, Hale Forehead. I couldn't forget what's really important to me, even if I tried. In fact, I haven't. Not even once. 7 years ago. Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Hale Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness. State your name and occupation for the record.
I'm familiar with the trial. I've watched the video several times.
Didn't you find anything Sorry, I just came with the mental image of Apollo seeing Phoenix present the wrong evidence so confidently. Didn't you find anything unnatural about it? Unnatural?
Well, you did seem unusually well prepared. I mean, Mr. Wright had only just presented his evidence. And the next moment, you call in Drew Misham. It was almost as if...
Almost as if? What? You were the one who... You knew it was forged? Oh, so he's gonna throw himself under the bus here and say that it was his fault or somehow he's gonna do something real good here for us, for the greater good, if you will.
Funny. It didn't even occur to me to wonder. But now that I do, I see there's only one possible explanation. Almost as if, from the very beginning, you knew Mr. Wright was going to present that evidence.
Correct. I knew that if I applied the usual pressure, Phoenix Wright would eventually come up with that forged diary page. Don't do this, Klavier. I knew because you told me, Kristoph.
What?
Oh dear. It was the night before the trial. Klavier? Kristoph, odd seeing you at the prosecutor's office the day before the trial. Wasn't that your first trial, though? So how would you know it's odd to see at the prosecutor's office? I won't be appearing in the trial, actually. Huh? Why not? I won't be facing off with you on your first trial, apparently. But in exchange, I brought information. Information? The attorney who will be there in my place tomorrow is not to be trusted. Don't even give him the benefit of your respect. Listen, I want you to call in a special witness. Then... Oh, I wondered about it at the time. How did Kristoph know so much?
Prosecutor Gavin.
Kristoph, we were supposed to face each other in that trial. A fair fight, brother to brother. I deserved that much. You let me borrow the victim's belongings. You showed me all your research on the case. The victim's belongings?
Which would have included Magnifi's diary, wouldn't it?
Mr. Gavin. My, Klavier. You disappoint me. You find trees, yet miss the forest.
You're the one missing the forest, Mr. Gavin.
You can't sweep this under the rug. Not anymore. Tell me what was going on behind that trial. Why not? I've achieved what I came here to do. I see no harm in a little reminiscing. That'll be your downfall. You're gonna give us so much helpful information, Apollo.
I think we're finally going to shine a light on the black belly of this thing, Trucy. We've done everything we could. I hope it's enough.
7 years ago, the day before the trial, I visited the detention center at the request of my client, Zach Gremery. 2 cards. Oh dear, is this where that forged ace is going to come into play? One card. The little slidey noises. Showdown time. Enough. You lose, Gavin. Thanks for the work. Now go. I guess this is Zach, but just because there's no name. To be honest, I don't know what his reasons were to this day. As far as I could tell, he dismissed me as his representation because I lost in a game of poker. I can come to no other conclusion. Daddy used to say something. If you want to know a man, you have to compete.
Zach wasn't watching his points or the cards. He was watching the man behind the cards, Kristoph Gavin.
Interesting. I couldn't believe it. Phoenix Wright, a second-rate attorney who relies on luck and bluffs. He dismissed me and went with that pitiful excuse for a man. He deserved to die for that error alone.
Jeez, hold it! So, the one who requested that forgery was...
Oh, I'm not admitting to anything. My point is, these 2 men shamed me, and I could not forgive that. Phoenix Wright and Zach Gremery both deserved what they got.
So, you asked Mr. Misham to forge that evidence so you could win. But then, when you were dismissed as Zach Gremery's attorney, you used your forged evidence as a trap?
You fed me information about the forgery you made. Then you gave your dirty evidence to him. You're free to imagine what you will. My point is that all I had imagined came to pass. Everything went perfectly. Dang, all the truth bombs being dropped on this. Incredible. If I wasn't laughing, I'd weep. Prosecutor Gavin? Perfectly. You're mad, Kristoph. Stop fooling yourself. What are you talking about, Klavier? Tell me, how did that trial end? Cancelled, when the defendant vanished. Ah, I get it. So, Kristoph, you've been living in fear for 7 years.
What? You were afraid your forgery would be revealed and your reputation trashed. You couldn't leave things to chance. So you watched everyone involved with the case for 7 years.
You know, he always felt like he was being watched. That's what he said, every day for 7 years. But I felt it too. Journalist Sherry is being watched, end quote. Don't you wonder why Zach Gremery got rubbed out after 7 years? Right after coming into contact with me? Dang.
I was starting to hold out hope a little on Kristoph, but it's dwindling a little, to be honest.
Wait just a minute. Zach Gremery was seen by this reporter. How was that possible? Was he alive after being gone 7 years?
Finally. I knew this moment was coming. I just didn't think we'd get here so fast.
And regrettably, that's where we have to end. That's all we have time for. I don't really know. I kind of get the sense this might end a little shorter than I was expecting, because we've already had a pretty sharp penalty almost thrown our way anyways. So it may be like the finale episode of this is just 20 minutes, or maybe have us do a few episodes left, but that's all I have time for now, unfortunately. So, gosh, I still have like a little hope of a little faith in Kristoph here. I feel like because I don't exactly understand. I mean, I guess he kind of spouted off a motive now, and he sounded pretty serious about it. How he just for a matter of, as Trucy's father would put it, foolish pride to having lost the case to Phoenix. Wait, when did Phoenix and Klavier become friends? I guess it was after he presented the forged evidence, right? That would make sense, because I was like, if they were friends before that, then why would he? Then he wouldn't hate him that much if they were buddies. But if that was, he became friends so that he could monitor that more closely and stuff, that would make a lot of sense. Well, here's my question then, for those of you who don't know, because if you haven't played the game already, how much longer do you think we have here? Do you think we're right on the end of this? Because it's sort of starting to feel like that a little. If you do know how long it is, then maybe the question could be, did it match up with what you expected when you got to this point? Did you figure like, oh, okay, yes, I understand like sort of how this will happen and the pacing of this? Because so far this is coming a little faster and more furious than I expected, but geez, it's sure explaining a lot. I'm sure it'll explain even more next time on A Fall of Justice. Admiral's gonna be out of here. Thank you very much for coming around. Hopefully I will see you around. Peace. They struggle a bit to get out of the water after that. That's terrifying. But no! Ah. The king's just looking at me like, are you serious? Got hit by another one. No, they're gonna get back up before I even get a chance. I'm just gonna mash boomerang on you. Use the sail to get dodge whatever attack the other one's doing. Ooh, that was close. And now hit you. Ooh, whack.